Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, From the Depths of Darkness to the Light of Success. I am your host, Chris Swick, and on the show we talk about mental health, addictions, and so many other things in the world. Whatever's on people's minds, we talk about it on the show, and I want to make people afraid to not talk about these things and get their stories out there. I believe everyone's story is valuable at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. You're all welcome on this platform. You can find the show over on YouTube and it's full video content. Every episode is full video. Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find the show in your podcast players, you can find it there. And also hit me up on Instagram at Depths of Darkside. Got lots of great content from my personal life podcasts and lots of other great things going on over there. But with no further ado, I'd love to introduce to you one half of the No Snooze Podcast, Dave Reggina. You want to take it away and let them know a little bit about you, Dave, and what you're all about?
Yes, Chris, first and foremost, man, let me say thank you just for bringing me on. I know we've been trying to set this up for a while, so it's nice that it's finally coming to fruition here. But yes, man, my name is Dave Reggina. I am a father. I'm a husband. I'm a deputy commissioner full-time over in New York in Westchester County, where I basically oversee a local municipality, small town over there. And then we also run the Snooze Podcast. The No Snooze Podcast came about pretty literally the word no snooze. The first thing that you see in the morning is that snooze button. So the way that we look at things with my co-host, Mike Pirelli, and then also Claudio Valenzuela, who runs our audio visual content, it's more than just words. It's actually a way of life. It's a mindset. You have two opportunities. You have two options. You have the opportunity to get up and attack your day, everything that you do from business, your health and wellness, your relationships, or you can go back to sleep and snooze on your life. So, I actually have the logo right here. If you're on YouTube, it's on my hat. It's literally a Z with a line through it and literally means no snooze. And that's what we do, man. We apply that mindset to everything that we do. Unfortunately, as a father and a parent, that word does come back to the literal sense. And you're searching for some sleep. But for the most part, man, I'm a regular guy. Very grateful to be here with you, Chris. So thank you, man.
You're very welcome, man. Yeah, I hear you with the fatherhood thing. Always looking for that little extra bit of sleep sometimes. It's been yours is a little younger than mine are. I got a 14-year-old and 7-year-old, but she probably gives you I see her on Instagram and stuff, the posts you make. She gives you a run for your money, that's for sure.
Oh, man, every day is different. Yes, my daughter, Callie, she is 19 months. So it's very fun. She's come fully into her personality now. We have her in a couple activities like dance and swimming. So we're really enjoying the process thus far. We'll talk about some of the family growing, hopefully sometime down the line. But right now the focus is on my wife and daughter. So.
No, that's amazing, Dave. And the No Snooze Podcast, I love the concept behind it. I was going to ask it, but you gave the answer right off the bat. It's all about not hitting that snooze button. And all of us have been notorious at one time of our life or another, but I try it myself to be up by 5:30 every morning. I don't get to the gym every time in the morning when I got other things going on, but I try to get my mindset in a proper way for the day, whether it's with a meditation or writing down a gratitude list. And I'll have to hit the gym after work, and that's okay. I like that nighttime workout a little bit too. It's a great way to end my day.
Yep. No, it's well said. The routine is huge, man. I found a passion for working out through a diagnosis that I have called Crohn's disease, which is an inflammatory bowel disease in my small and large intestines. So I had to, really get familiar with understanding what foods and diets and really just health and wellness in general would work for that diagnosis. So over the course of the past almost 15 years now, I've learned my body pretty well. But the first thing I do, man, is I have a pretty established routine for a couple of years now. First thing I do when I open my eyes, I'm extremely grateful just for the opportunity to rise up on this day, whether it's raining or not. It's actually a blessing. I heard a statistic that every day, 150,000 people do not have that opportunity to wake up and they end up passing away. So that right there is something that we should all be grateful for, the opportunity to just open our eyes. Fortunate enough to have a beautiful partner in my wife, Karina, and then my daughter that gives me that added, inspiration. From there, I walk into the bathroom. I tell myself, one, you're a good looking dude. It's a great beard you got going on there. I'm just excited to attack this day. Then I hydrate a little bit. I actually drink between 35 and 50 ounces of water just because when you are sleeping, your body gets a little dehydrated. And then from there, I try to get myself moving, load my daughter up in the car, and then off to the gym I go. I do that because typically in the past, I've always worked 2 jobs and I was just too drained at the end of my day to personally work out at night. No knock to anybody who does it at night. More kudos to you. I can't find the energy. I'm weak in that sense. So I get it done first thing in the morning. And then from there, that puts me in the right frame of mind. Then I head to work, man, and I attack my day just really one thing at a time. But that no snooze mindset, it's much more than just that physical fitness piece and that health and wellness. And I've learned to really apply that to literally everything in my personal and professional life.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, and I hear you there. Getting that movement in first thing in the morning, saying those affirmations, writing that gratitude list down, meditating, whatever it is, get up and do those things right away. And it really puts you in the right mindset to how your day is going to proceed from there, too.
Absolutely. And the thing is, people, you assume that it's that you got to get into this elaborate workout and you got to do something crazy. Literally, if you're not doing two specific things, so these are two very simple things that you should be doing on top of the gratitude piece, but just have yourself a small cup of water, literally a small cup of water, get that hydration going and allow that habit to form within yourself. There's a concept called stacking little wins, and little wins over time really, I guess, result in massive change. So you just doing little things and making your bed every day, right? Getting up and drinking that cup of water, going outside for 5 to 15 to 20, 30 minutes, whatever works for you. Do something. One thing I do as well is I read 10 pages of a book that I'm interested in, but I also have the intent with these books to make sure that it's something that I want to get better in. At work, my job is primarily focused on leadership. So I have to find ways to make sure that I am still coming up with things that may be different from 10 years ago when I, first started. So I have to constantly educate myself and personal and professional development with health and wellness. And the moment you stop doing those little things, we actually start to deteriorate, right? These are all skills that you have to practice. And it's no different than when we were kids and we were playing sports growing up. You had to practice to keep getting better. The moment you take your foot off the gas, that's when you actually start to trend downward. So I like to look at it as myself putting healthy distractions in my way, because if I'm not doing something that's regimented and I'm in a routine, my mind is just like everybody else's. And I can start that downward trend and those negative thoughts start to creep up. And before you're in a slump, now you're not working out for 3 days, 3 days turns to 5 days. Now I'm missing a business meeting, I'm missing emails, and it starts to spiral like that. But just like everybody else, man, I go through those same things, but I pride myself in self-discipline, right? And everything that I do, I am in control of. There's things that happen in life, whether it be something as bad as a death in the family or just a traffic stop. There's uncontrollable things. And I try to really separate the two. I like to take advantage and discipline myself on the things that I can control, and I try to let go of things that I can't.
I like that you say that and bring up the whole traffic stop or a person in the road driving. Who knows, if they had to cut you off or race past you or whatever,
Yep.
maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital because a loved one's dying. You don't know what someone else is going through. And it doesn't matter 5 seconds from now because they're way the hell up the road. So what the hell's the point in tailgating them or following them either? Just live and let die at the end of the day. Just live, let it go.
Yes, sir. Man, it's funny. I was telling you for a brief second before we recorded. Today's been a rough day, man. It really has. And I was actually telling my wife I'm very transparent with her on my day to day and just how things are going. I plan to leave my office by I think it was about 6. Yes, it was about 6 o'clock. And 5:45, I'm like, wow, today it really hasn't been that bad. End up having a meeting. Literally, somebody walks in my office, and that turned to 4 different people being included in this meeting. It was a rough meeting, to say the least. A couple things were said, so we ended on a bad note. Then I'm driving home. Now I'm rushing. I got to get something to eat. Then I start thinking about all the things that I have to do for tomorrow. Then I start thinking about the hiccups that I'm going to have on the weekend. And it was that spiral, right? So I'm telling my wife over the phone, and she's like, let me just remind you, you signed up for this life. I'm like, I wanted to say, screw you in that moment, but I sat down, I thought about it. I said, you know what? You're right. I'll be home in a couple minutes. So I stop. I I got a rotisserie chicken because it was something that I can grab that was like semi-healthy. And I brought it home and just ate it before the podcast. But then I walk in the door and she played this. It was a Steve Harvey clip. And it was basically about successful people. And successful people don't get to sleep out 8 hours a day, Chris. It's just what it is, man. Sometimes you got to operate just on fumes. And he said, you got to fight. And in life, we got to fight like dogs against ourselves because there's always that negative thought creeping in. So to be honest with you, man, I am back. I am fully present in this moment, and I'm extremely grateful to be here, man. But the timing on this is extremely funny here.
I love that you say that though. Like sometimes you do have to run on fumes. Sometimes with my job, it's just go in the sales world too. Same thing. Meetings or people, customers or clients down your throat. Where's this? Where's that? Where's my vehicle? Where's that? Have you seen the world the last 2 years? Things aren't coming as quick as they used to, but people want it now. I was like, I can only sell it to you. I can't, create a miracle here for the factory to build it quicker though.
Yep, that's right, man. We're extremely addicted, just as human beings. We're addicted to a quick result, and we want things
That
overnight.
dopamine hit, whether
That's
it
right.
is you're an addict, a drug addict, or whatever it is in life, you just want that quick dopamine hit.
Yep, and we become so accustomed to little things, man. Think about it. Every time you turn on that light switch, right? The light goes on. Bang. We don't even think about it. How many light switches do you turn off and on every single day, right? 100. Go to the toilet bowl. You do your business, you flush the toilet. It goes down automatically, right? Bang. The minute that toilet doesn't flush, we start to get and it's little things like that throughout our lives that we're so accustomed to the automatics of things. And honestly, that little analogy there got me a real appreciation for the blue collar workers, man. The guys that are out there for Con Ed, plumbers, and these guys are real deal, man. They're essential. We've relied on them so much just to make sure that, listen, my plumbing, my electricity works, right? The moment that it doesn't work, I start to freak out. It's a good perspective piece because we're all spoiled brats as human beings, man.
100%. And that's a nice job to have though for all you young people out there looking for a good job, want to get into the trades. I'd get into them because the robots aren't taking those jobs over.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
What instantly makes you not like another person, Dave?
It's a good question, man. I like to believe that I have a good sense of judgment and a good sense of character. I don't like it tough to say, but I really don't like to associate myself. Not that I don't really not like other people. I don't like to associate myself with individuals who are driven to want a little bit more. And that little bit more in their life could be, listen, I want to be a better father. I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better friend. I want to learn a new hobby. I want to be a better coworker, right? I want to be a better person in life. If I've tried hard with intent to specifically, I guess, endorse myself with other individuals that are motivated. So I just find it hard to really relate. I guess that would be a better word. Relate to individuals who choose to sit back and not
I think
take
things are handed to
advantage.
them on a gold platter.
Correct.
And not to knock the younger generation, but I see a lot of it these days, even with some coworkers that I've had in the past or present and stuff. I'm not, doing well. Why are you sitting at your desk with your laptop open playing games all day? No wonder you're not doing anything or being productive because you don't
Yeah.
give a shit.
And it's
But I don't like to associate myself around those types of people anymore either. Like I want the mindsets that are looking to be creative and explore different options and not be afraid to try new things.
yeah, I think the word not is a strong word, or hate. I just personally don't like to associate myself with
I like
somebody
that.
who's not driven for more. And again, man, that more could be something very small, but as long as you're motivated to do something in the area that you choose, I'm all about opening that door for a relationship.
No, and I like that about you too, because you're willing to give, but they got to give in return too, though. It's not a one-way street.
Absolutely, man. Speaking on the addiction piece, my mom was actually heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol for the first 28 years of my life. I'm 32 now, so it's been a pretty recent journey, but just to watch her, I am so inspired by that one day at a time approach. We try to support her, my brother, my sister, and I at her meetings, at her AA meetings in that community, and her drive to just want to be sober one more day. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And honestly, it's become one of my own mottos, man. I can't lie. I still indulge in a drink here and there, but I've been fortunate enough to not have that. Addiction is a disease, in my belief.
You can call it quits after one or two and say, all right, I'm tapped out, I'm done. You know what?
Correct.
Same with my wife, same thing. Like she drinks, she enjoys a glass of wine or a couple glasses of
Yeah.
wine. And she, like at the beginning too, why can't you do that, Chris? Trust me, you don't want to see me do that. I will not. Our whole liquor cabinet will be cleared out. Then we're done for the night. Then
Yep.
we'll stock it back up tomorrow. I just have a different. We're all wired differently as addicts and stuff like that. I want to say kudos to your mom, man. That's amazing. I love hearing stories like that, Dave. So kudos to her, man. And you can tell her that from myself.
Oh, listen, man, and I get the chills when I think about her because, that was a rocky road, man, and I understand the addiction piece is obviously the toughest on the individual, but addiction is tough on family members too and close friends for sure.
100%, man. It goes
Um,
both ways.
yes, so we just the quick story there that really hit home for I mean changed my life for good in terms of my faith and what I believe personally with the big guy upstairs is my mom was again heavily addicted. It was pretty much the worst time of her life. She had gained probably 50 to 60 pounds. She'd lost her job at the time. The whole downward spiral of what can happen with addiction, it was happening. But she did say that she wanted to get some help. So that was a good sign. I bring her over to my house. Obviously, couldn't withdraw her by myself. I had her pills. It was Xanax at the time. And she gave them to me and she said, I want you to take these, but obviously, if I need them throughout the night until we could find me a facility, maybe you can be the one to give them to me. So, literally, Chris, no exaggeration, every 5 to 10 minutes in the middle of the night, my mom would knock on the door. David, I need my pills. David, I need my pills. David, I need my pills. She was urinating on herself. It was a very sad sight to see, but I am extremely disappointed with how I, actually handled the situation because I was getting frustrated instead of being understanding of that I can't really put myself in her shoes. And although she was interrupting my wife and I in terms of our sleep, she was really going through this extreme moment. So I walk in there and I said, you know what? F this. And I poured all the pills in my hand, man, and I gave them to her, right? I put my hand out and I probably have 20 pills. I said, take them. I can't save you. I can't save you. And she looks at me, she starts crying. She's like, you want me to die? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to die. But you've chosen these substances over your family for so many years. So if this is going to bring you happiness, this is what I want for you. And I looked at her in her eye. I looked up at the ceiling and I said, unless God can save you right now, I have nothing that I can offer you. Take them. So she literally takes one out of my hand. She puts it in her mouth. Within 5 seconds, Chris, her eyes roll to the back of her head and she like hits the pillow. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Did my mom just literally pass away in front of me? So I'm looking at her. I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? What just happened? I feel her neck. So I feel her pulse. She's still breathing. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. By the grace of God, I believe that she ended up falling asleep in that moment. She didn't come back in my room for the next 3 to 4 hours. We wake up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning and she says, David, I'm ready to get sober. And I was like the most incredible moment of my life. So we ended up calling a couple places. Nobody had a bed available. Called this one facility. They're like, actually, if you get here by 5 p.m. today, that bed is yours. I said, no problem. It's a couple-hour drive, but we're on our way. Dropped my mom off. 30 days later, she's been sober ever since.
Wow.
I
You know,
mean,
I love that, man. Fuck.
incredible.
Ran a
It
tear to my eye,
really,
man.
no,
Wow.
dude, it really was the most incredible moment for me, for my mom, but I still apologize to her to this day for not having and being able to exhibit the patience that she needed. So I'm grateful and I'm very thankful to God. I don't want to bring faith into it by any means, but for me personally, I've become an extremely faithful man and I know that I'm guided by a higher power. And I believe that was a huge in God showing me that, you know what? He is the real deal and he can make miracles happen. And he's been guiding my mom and taking care of her ever since, man. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's an amazing story, man. Like, kudos to your mom, kudos to you. And you touched a good point too, because we don't know as the addict the pain, the suffering we put our family members through. And me and my fiance have talked many times about us as the addicts are put on a pedestal and stuff like that. But I don't want to be put on a pedestal because I put so many other people through pain. I like to give the people on the other side too the support. Because if it wasn't for my support system or my family or my friends that have stuck by me through thick and thin, I really wouldn't be here doing this podcast with you today. I would be dead in a morgue
Yep.
or in jail, one of the three. Honest to fuck, I wouldn't be here today. And you got to give kudos to the people like yourself that stick by their family members, whether good, bad, evil has happened. You know what I mean? You're still there for your mother, and that's amazing.
Absolutely, man. She's been one of my best friends, and we struggled growing up. I actually moved out of her house, and I grew up, primarily with my father, just because it was a rough situation. But now we have a great relationship. She's a phenomenal mother. She's a phenomenal friend. She's a phenomenal grand. But anybody who is going through that journey, man, I tell you, and again, I didn't live that addiction, but I lived it with my mother. You have the ability to change, because if my mother was able to do that, I'm telling you, she literally spiraled completely out of control to where nobody believed in her anymore. And literally that one day at a time, shit, it might have been 1 hour at a time at the beginning, man. Don't pick up a drink, don't pick up a drug. You can do it. And things get hard in life. But just because you have a bad moment or a bad day, it does not mean that you have a bad life.
100%, man. And you can use that one day at a time in anything in life. Dave can use it. Anyone can use it. And I know lots of people that use it. Like my fiance uses it for herself, pushing herself to her fitness goals and stuff like that. But one day at a time, she doesn't look too far ahead, just one day at a time, and she gets through it. You know what I mean? Like it's a struggle some days, but by the grace of God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, she's lost well in excess of 50 pounds in just less than a year now. Like,
Wow. That's
and just pushing herself to her limits and stuff like that. And just seeing what she can do and expand in her business and all those types of things too, man. So kudos to you though, man. And anyone out there listening, it's one day at a time for anything in life.
it really is, man. I'm on this little kick right now that I've been really applying that mindset for the past couple of years to everything that I do. But specifically in terms of 2022, we're 47 days in at this time of recording into the new year. And that one day at a time approach has now I've become stubborn, and I haven't taken a day off in the gym. So I'm 47 for 47 just off of and I don't mean that as a brag. I literally mean that as I'm taking that concept seriously, of one day at a time. And even if I'm sore during a workout, I just say, you know what? Just get through this one. Don't worry about tomorrow. You don't have to worry about taking off tomorrow. You don't have to worry about that. Just get through today. And then I become kind of stubborn and obsessed with it in a way that I'm like, man, listen, something's got to take me out for me to take this day off.
And I do that too. Like I not one that really likes meditation, but
Yep.
I started it again at the time of this recording this morning, and it was a 25-minute meditation. I went all out this one, and I'm reading this book right now called The Everyday Hero Manifesto by Robin Sharma. I don't know if you've heard
Right.
of.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the 5 a.m. Club. You know the and
Yep.
the man who sold his Ferrari or whatever, that other book he's written some phenomenal books, and he's a Canadian author, and he has some wicked meditations you can find in this book too. So I started doing his meditations again this morning. I was like, I'm coming back for this one tomorrow again. You know,
Wow. Yep.
but it's hard to sit there. I was just like, all right, I got to focus, and just focusing in on your breathing and stuff like that. It gets easier as you get going and stuff like that. But
That's a good analogy for life, man. It's you're doing something that you want to do, but you're also taking the necessary actions, right? So we can believe in these higher powers, which we both know to exist. However, if you're not putting in that actual work, whether it's your fitness journey, whether it's your business, whether it's your podcast, or trying to build your platform or whatever it is, you still got to pair that with putting the work in like you're doing, man. So that
thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. So, I mean, we just really touched on that, but a little bit, but we're going to go back to systems here. Do you have a system in place that keeps yourself organized, Dave?
a system in place. So I actually love the word system, to be honest. I think I have
Systems are great. There's so many different systems in life.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But really it stems around consistency for me, man. I'll switch it to business. But one of my systems in business, when I first walk into my office, I have an abundance of emails, just like the majority of us do. But they're very specific to work, and everybody is requiring something from me. So the first thing I do is I actually do an old school task list. And it's been a system that, again, Dave Reggina and myself, I did not create this, but it's something that I've applied over some time, and it definitely worked. Where I don't look at the emails right away. I create a task list off of the things that I want to personally accomplish for that day. Sometimes it's 3 things, and it's up to 5 things, depending on if I carried one over from the day before, but I never get it over 5. And then as soon as I tackle that first one, then I start to engulf myself in other people's needs. But first, for me, it's a mental system to where I know that I have to tackle my first priority first. And if I take care of myself first, pretty selfishly, then I can show up for everybody else a little bit better. And I've applied that same mindset really to life in general. As a father, it's tough now to put yourself first, but I still know that if I wake up and I at least hydrate myself, I do something for myself, I look in the mirror, I say, man, today's going to be a good day. Even if it's pouring rain outside, you know what? I can at least show up a little bit better for my daughter. With my wife, I got to put myself first, selfishly, again, before I can show up. Too many times, my wife is definitely guilty of this. She'll put everybody else first, which is a great quality to have. But the system that really works for me is finding something that I can do to give me personal, whether it's satisfaction, gratification, or whatever it is, to know that I accomplished something for me. Now I can go so much harder and contribute to you.
100%, man. I love that you say that. Talking, you said your wife, she gives and gives to others before she gives to herself. Sounds like my fiance too, and not a bad trait to have. It sounds, she's probably an empath, your wife, isn't she?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Most women are.
Yeah, I could
And
use
that's
some of that.
exactly. One thing I'm really striving to work on a lot harder this year is empathy. Coming from an addictive personality and addictions and stuff like that, I didn't have an empathetic bone in my body. And I don't know if your mom can relate to that too or whatever, but I'm basically rewiring my brain at almost 40 here, and just working through the kinks of life again, man. But it's one day at a time, like we just talked about.
Yeah, man. Consistency is king. It really is in anything in life. So any system that you have, I don't think it can be wrong. There's a million ways to do things in life. There's a million ways to get things done. There's a million ways to be successful. Choose a path, try it out. If it's something that you can remain consistent with, great, keep going with it. If you can't be consistent with any of your systems, that's when it's time to reevaluate. And that's what's really worked for me personally.
That's amazing, man. I love that you say you write that stuff down. I do the same thing and carry the things over too. And I think it was actually a guy that had taught me, but he went through one of Bob Proctor's courses and stuff like that. And then that's where he was taught that, I think, too, in the
Yep.
Think and Grow Rich program. So another good book too to read
Yes,
over
sir.
and over again.
That is one of the best.
For sure, man. So what are some of the lessons that have impacted the way you work? What was what was a lesson and what was it like before and after?
I think the biggest lesson that to date, I can really look at it is the theme of when you say things, follow through with them. A lot of individuals in life, what we like to do is we like to talk a lot, and we don't keep promises to ourselves and other individuals. And if it's one thing that I can teach my daughter, children down the line, grandchildren, whatever it is, it would be keep promises to yourself and other individuals. Just because when you begin to say things out loud and then begin to follow it up with action, that is how you begin to build self-confidence for yourself. Then when you say things to other individuals and you follow through, now you build trust, you build loyalty, you build respect. One thing that I pride myself on is respect. I don't want anybody on this to say, wow, I hate the individual that Dave Reggina is. I want everybody. And I believe to this point, I've done a decent job thus far to where individuals will always respect how I operate my life. Don't have to agree with everything I do. You don't have to like me in a sense, but I want to know deep down that my coworkers, my family, my friends, my acquaintances, individuals I meet on a one-time basis, and I say, wow, I respect that guy. So that's the lesson, man. It's keep promises to yourself and other people. Say what you're going to do.
I love that you say that. For so long in life, I couldn't keep a promise for the life of me, but that's one thing I've learned too. If I say I'm going to do something now, I suit up and show up. If I say I'm going to help you out or offer you help, I'll offer that help. I'll follow through on that promise. But also you got to follow through too and reciprocate like we talked about earlier though too. But sometimes you can do things and you don't need to expect anything in return. Just do it out of the goodness to your own heart. Do an act of kindness once a week or every day. I know act of kindness or random act of kindness week's coming up soon, but you can do those every day of the week if you want, whether it's saying hi to a stranger, saying hi to that homeless guy downtown or wherever, offering a little bit of change to him, offer to buy him a coffee or when it's a cold day out.
It's a great point. But also we forget to realize that the science too of the subconscious mind and then the conscious mind. So literally you doing something so small as saying, I'm going to make my bed today, and you go make your bed today, you just did something chemically in your brain that is going to add to your future, to add to your confidence, and it builds your self-esteem. Now you stack that, right? And you pair that over and over again with little things. You saying that you're going to go greet everybody today with a smile, right? You go do that. And not just one time. This has to be a process over time through consistency with practice. I mean, yes, you can fall off, but for the most part, you got to build the system, like you said before, and develop those habits of saying things, whether it's out loud or just to yourself, and then following through. It's one of the biggest lessons, even that I work with some young individuals as well. And to build your self-confidence and self-esteem, that's where you have to start. We always think that there's this elaborate process involved to things. Yes, it's a process, but that's really all we need to do. And if we could do it one time, we could do it 100,000 times.
100%, man. And I love about you say about making the bed. I've been notorious not to make it for so many years, but I started learning and then I fell off again. But in my first treatment center I ever went to in my early 20s, they made you make the bed. And if it wasn't made the way that they wanted, it was almost like military, but they were trying to, and now I see why. After our conversation, it just sparked something in my mind there. And they're just trying to instill that confidence and that self-development and mindset into you that to build those systems as we've talked about.
And everything is a mindset, man. It really is. The body is our physical form, but that mind is the most important and the strongest muscle that we have. So it's important to develop that muscle. We can't see our mind, so sometimes we forget about it. But doing the things like we're talking about now, that's how you practice and that's how you build. And you doing that over time leads to some massive growth and massive self-improvement. And that's my goal every day, man. I want to progress in my life, and still very knowingly to the point that I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know I'm going to screw up, but how quickly can I get back on track is a quick challenge for me. And now I look to those moments and I say, okay, you're being weak. I'm acknowledging that moment. Am I going to fester in my own shit and complain about it and make it worse like I did today, like at the beginning of the podcast when I was telling you I started a spiral? Or am I going to take that inspiration, listen to the things that I preach about all the damn time, look at the things that I read about, look at the things that I know to be a form of success and apply it, and then get back on track within minutes, within a couple hours? That's the skill, man. And that's the difference between extremely successful individuals and then just regular people. So I'm striving for that every day, man.
Yeah, and you catch yourself. Everyone's gonna slip. Everyone's, gonna fail at something in life, but it's all a matter of if you failed at something, it's okay to fail. Just, do it over again, but do it a different way. Because if the definition of insanity is, I like to say, it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, and never gonna happen.
I failed a bunch of times in my life. I've failed businesses specifically. I had a beard oil company that flopped. I had a hat company that flopped. And that's failure to me. I gave up. I stopped doing the motions and I stopped progressing. That's failure to me. If you don't stop something and you just screw up or you mess up, that's a fall. So if you stop recording this podcast, but then you pick it back up in 2 months, that's not you failing, that's you falling. So I don't like to use that word fail unless you're fully giving up on something. And that's okay to do. You can absolutely do that. Again, I've failed many times in my life, but now I'm at the point that I have a locked in focus. I have clarity on the things that I want to develop in my life. And I know that if I just stop something just for a short amount of time, that's not failure. You can get back on track tomorrow. You can get back on track the next day. If you screwed up for a week, you know what? You can get back on track. It's not until you lose the passion and then ultimately give up that I define that as failure.
100%, man. I like your analogy there. It's a great analogy with the failure and a fall. Great analogy, Dave.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
On to some little bit of fitness stuff here, man. If
Yes,
you
sir.
could change one thing about most gyms, it would be what?
I think I would add, I think I'd add additional squat racks and bench presses, man. I see too
I
many
feel
times,
you there. There's
you know,
never
like,
enough.
right. I go into the gym sometimes, man, and every rack is taken for whatever reason. I'm like, damn, it must be International Chest Day on Monday. But then if on Tuesday I want to do it, still somebody's on the bench because there's only 2 benches in my gym.
Oh, wow. And there's about 4 or 5 at the gym I go to.
Right. So I think it's that, and then also I would like to see individuals change. I would like to see an environment to where we're inspiring one another versus when January hits, we're getting frustrated that what new people are coming in the gym, and yeah, and we say to ourselves, yeah, they'll be gone in 3. That's a pretty shitty mindset to have. How cool would it be if society, if us as a whole, we said, man, come work out with me. Or you know what? Hey, man, I see you. I see you in here today. I challenge you to be here tomorrow. And then let's do it again the next day. I'd like to see that uplifting environment. Personal physical fitness for me, again, like I said, has been a huge part of my life. And it can be very inspirational to people, but it can also really break people down, not only physically, but emotionally as well. So if everybody knew that there was a helping hand in that gym versus being judged, I think that'd be a beautiful thing as well.
I see lots of that too, or one thing I'd would like to get rid of sometimes too, and this goes for all us males out there. I'm not saying all of us are guilty of it, but quit the gawking at the women sitting there like and being it's pretty creepy sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I never understood that part, man. Again,
Like, I'm
you know,
here to work out, you know what I mean?
right,
Yes, maybe
right.
my fiance is a beautiful woman, but you don't need to when she notices it and you make it that noticeable, man, it creeps out some women though. It can be scary for them.
100%, man. But really, I don't understand that piece either.
No.
Acknowledge, listen, us as men, even women, acknowledging somebody that's good looking, that's one thing. You stare once, but for me, I'm sweating like a pig. The last thing, no woman in that gym is going to be looking and be like, wow, that dude is like real sexy. They're going to be like, oh, he probably stinks. He smells like shit. Look at the guy. I don't
100%, man, but for sure.
know.
So what is your love language, Dave? Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, or physical touch? I
Ah,
love talking
man.
love languages, man.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's cool, man. I like, honestly, it's acts of service and the physical. Is it physical gifts?
Yeah, physical touch.
I'm sorry, the gift
Oh,
piece.
receiving gifts.
Yes, receiving gifts. So the the first piece is the acts of service. I love when my wife she'll cook me a meal, or she'll just say, "Hey man, I know you had a really tough day today, honey. Here's a glass of water or a glass of whiskey for that." I love little acts of service like that for sure. But then I also love to receive little gifts. Like my wife just got me for Valentine's Day. It was a card, and nothing was in the card because she's taking me out to dinner, but she wrote a really nice, note to me, and then also had my daughter who can't write, but she can scribble. So she scribbled in the card with her little handwriting, and that meant the world to me, man. So I love those two. Whereas my wife is the complete opposite. She is all about physical touch. She loves physical touch, and she also loves words of affirmation, which happens to work well with me because one habit I have in my relationship is every single day. Doesn't matter if we're in a fight or not, every single day for the past 12 years that we've been together, I send her a morning. But it could be something small, but I like to get pretty detailed with the message. So on top of the have a great day, it's like, hey, I remembered that you had that 9:30 meeting this morning. I know you're going to crush it. I know you were a little nervous about it, but listen, let me know. I can't wait to hear about it. So she likes those things, but it's a good conversation, Chris, because it's important to understand what your partner needs.
100%. And my partner too is words of affirmation and physical touch as
Yep.
well. And I like your two as well. Like we're the same, man. We're cut from the same cloth. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
but no, I think lots of women, it's important to give them that words of affirmation and that physical touch, especially. I like that you say that too. That I've fallen off track a little bit with, I like leaving a little note. Sometimes she's not home from the gym when I leave for work sometimes and stuff like
Yep.
that. She's an entrepreneur, so she works from home most days. Leave her a little note or leave her a little message or even just check in through the day. Or like you said, if she has a meeting or something or a business, something to do with business, just let her know she's going to crush it. I love that.
Yep. Yeah, man, it's important because just like we like to practice, we said the word practice before, to constantly do new things, and your relationship is the same exact way. Once you stop and you get stagnant in your relationship, listen, I've been with my wife 12 years. You think I don't think other women are attractive? You think I don't know that she knows that other men are extremely attractive? And I'm sure that desire is there. So you have to always find a way to practice in your own relationship, because if you're not doing it, then that spark is going to dull. And you know what? the spark is going to dull over time. So how do you light that match back up? How quickly can you come back and say, you know what? I made a vow to this woman. I'm here for the long haul. And you know what? Today might be a shit day and I'm pissed off at her, but this is my commitment and I got to respark that flame.
I love that, man. There's always new ways. You may not love her for the reasons you did when you first met her,
Yep.
but you gotta dig deep for the reasons you love her today. You know what I mean? That you got to dig real deep. And I love that you say that though, man.
Thank you.
No problem, man. We've come to the end of the show, Dave, and stuff. But before we go, where can everyone find your handles on Instagram and stuff if they want to follow you and follow along and stuff like that? Let them know.
Yeah, man. So you can find my personal Instagram. It's at Dave Reg, DaveRegg. And then you can find us at Snooze Podcast on Instagram. That's literally NO, the word snooze, SNOZE, and then the word podcast. From there, there's all the links in the bio to all of our platforms. And Chris, man, I want to say thank you to you. I truly appreciate the content that you put out. I've become a fan of yours. You're an inspiration to see. I'm following your journey. I love the platform that you've created here, man. And from just man to man, I respect you, my brother. And I appreciate you for having me on your show.
Thank you very much, man. If there's something I could take away from today's episode, everyone, it's about practicing and placing systems in place in your life and just being consistent and showing up every day, one day at a time. Thanks again for coming on the show, Dave. It was a true pleasure having you on today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, man.
Chris, man, thanks again. We'll be in touch.